I know we discussed a little bit back and forth on DM about like
Mhm.
1099 and W-2s. I mean, where do you see that in the future?
So like me thinking, this is me thinking like way long term,
Mhm.
5, 10, 20, 50 years from now. And
Yeah.
so what I see is I think that a lot of people are kind of getting their fingers wet or their toes wet, whatever, dipped into gig work right now. I think a lot of people are going to have an ongoing relationship with gig work that are, starting now for probably the rest of their lives. Because you
Hmm.
think about it, if you go from gig work now, and maybe you didn't do it, maybe you did it full time, maybe it didn't work out for you full time after things have changed. So you go to
Hmm.
get a W-2, but maybe you still like the gig work, some of that freedom, or you still have that app. You know when it's busy to make that extra income. It's going to be
Hmm.
hard to kind of fully turn off that spout, and thinking long term, the economy is cyclical, so there's probably going to be another downturn. Not probably, there will be another downturn. Not sure how
Hmm.
severe it will be or when it will be, but
Hmm.
it'll be, it just happens. And
Yeah.
so when that happens again, I think you're going to see people, oh, I already have these apps, I already know how to do DoorDash, Instacart,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and or some of these other apps that'll be, created between now and that time. And
Hmm.
when that gets there, I think that like I see people saying, okay, you see another wave of people hopping on those new apps, mixing that into the portfolio of apps, et cetera.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
So
I definitely see people kind of going like more towards the independent contractor world due to that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
stay away from the employment world because they're not going to get the benefits that they can get being an independent contractor, you know,
I agree with that. Yeah.
and being their own boss. But like tax reductions, I mean,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure you track your miles. I'm
There's
sure
so many tax
oh yeah,
benefits too. Yeah.
yeah, oil changes, tires, all that stuff. I mean, there's young high school kids that I'm trying to help out on their bicycles out there for Swoop It Up,
Oh,
and
oh
they can
man, yeah. I
do
didn't even think about
they
that.
yeah, they can do little packages, so they can sign up as a bicycle and they'll get like packages that are less than 2 pounds, little small things that they can put in their backpack, take to UPS, FedEx, USPS, and those young kids I can help. I can teach them to be, independent contractors, but start them as like entrepreneurs and teach them how
Oh
to,
yes.
yeah, teach them how to be, you know, own their own business someday.
Hmm.
And I just think it's really important because in my mind, that's the future.
I agree with that.
Everyone's everyone's going to be independent. At least the people that really want to make it to the next level, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I'm juiced about all this stuff. But anyways,
I think the
uh,
future is really exciting. I think with all these different things, is like you said, you mentioned seeing the high school kids, and I swear every time I'm out there, I'm seeing younger kids, and you can tell kind of like some of these kids they're smart. This new generation, they're into technology, so
mhm,
they're looking, they're googling, what's the best way, the best summer job,
mhm,
with freedom and all these different things, and they're coming out with these answers, and they're making it work for them. Especially when they don't have any bills, they're still living at home. I mean, these
mhm.
kids they're turning out pretty good money for themselves.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Yeah. Um, yeah, so also like full time, you're a full time independent driver right now, right? In
Right.
Arizona? Okay,
Yeah. So
cause like
I'm full time. Yeah.
yeah, cause like in California, that's tough, man.
So I'll say this: I do have other streams of income because, like I said, I have my house. So I also
Yeah,
rent room, and so like
smart,
Airbnb, different things like that. So I
smart.
don't. So with Airbnb right now, not necessarily, but I do have a consistent. I've had a renter, probably. I've been renting a room. I think 11 out of the last 12 months that room's been able to be rented, which
Nice.
was great, especially during the pandemic, especially when I had that downturn. So
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
so it's an addition to that, but you know but it's definitely the full time piece of it is uh is driving. I mean,
Yeah, nice. Right on. And you were saying that you really stepped it up because of like the content you made and like
oh yeah,
selling yourself as, an independent contractor almost, but just using that platform,
hmm
right?
right.
So, and then another thing, like I get a lot of people or independent contractors ask me about like entities and like, are you a sole proprietor? Are you, how are you?
So that's a great
I get,
question.
yeah.
So like right now, I'm technically a sole proprietor. I haven't gone
Okay.
door, I haven't filed anything. Although that's
Mhm.
been something because I'm looking at other streams of income and kind of wrapping it all up from all different from tax perspectives, et cetera, trying to
Mhm.
figure out the best way to do it long term. So I'm looking at although I'm sole proprietor now, kind of looking at
Okay.
like LLC and S corp. Those
Mhm.
are the two that I'm kind of looking towards in the long run.
Mhm.
Luckily, I have a sister who's also an entrepreneur, and she's been running her company for probably half a decade or close to a decade by now, from really
Nice.
thinking about it. So I have her for advice on these things. Although
Nice.
she's on the East Coast, totally different state, totally different laws, so it's general advice more than anything else.
Definitely. That's awesome. I have two older sisters. Um, one of them owns their own business, so yeah, I totally understand. And yeah, I talk to them as well. And she talks to me as well. We try to help each other out, talk to our accountants, our CPAs. And that's another thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jump on here with accountants and
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna,
great. Yeah.
yeah, mine especially, he owns Accountants on Air. They're actually out of New York, but they're online service. They're everywhere through the states. Um, Great company. So I'm gonna have him on here. I'm gonna have some bookkeepers on here.
Uh,
I'm gonna try to continue to push to help independent contractors as much as possible. Like I said, you know,
yeah, I think we're at the beginning of this thing. I think this thing has a bright future, man. Like I'm
for
thinking, like I
sure.
told you, 20, 50 years out,
Hmm.
um, being I say significant part of the job market, but I'm not sure if that word is the right word.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. It's gonna bring some competition
Uh,
to those companies that have to pay employees. That's for
mhm.
sure. It's not going to be the selling point's not going to be just health insurance, you know.
Exactly.
So because I know you make enough money and you start a good enough business, you can have your own health insurance.
Well, especially yeah,
So,
learn the taxes, and that becomes a write-off, especially too. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. Um, so yeah, man, I kind of wanted to wrap this thing up. Uh,
Okay.
so do you have for all the independent contractors out there,
Yeah.
just starting, do you have any advice just to let them know um, how to get started or an app you recommend?
Yeah, so I would say to get started for independent contractors, the ones I do, the ones that I start to recommend are DoorDash and Uber Eats, and it's more so just to get your toes wet. I'm not saying those are the best apps. It's just to get your toes wet. Those apps, I think, give the most information and allow you to understand quickly what a good delivery is, what a good offer is.
Okay.
Because those are high volume as well, so learn a lot of information about your market. And I
Mhm.
think learning your market is critical to making the most money. And then the second thing is after kind of learning what you're working with,
Mhm.
learning the techniques, and that's where you get into YouTube and getting to like searching up content as
Mhm.
learning the techniques to best extract all of that value out of your market. Learning, do I have a market that's great for fast food? Are there other areas in town that are better for, different types of restaurants or shorter, uh, I guess, higher deliveries per hour versus higher amounts, or maybe this is a better area because there's a lot of Instacart, a lot of families, so maybe Instacart
Mhm.
shipped, and maybe corner shop, maybe that's the wave over here, or maybe it's the time of year, like I said, where it's people traveling and have a lot of new pets and they need dog sitters, so rover or pet sitters, and so that's the wave.
Wow.
So just kind of learning where to start out, but then also thinking of it as a portfolio and ride, trying to figure out how to.
Wow. Yeah. Great advice, man. Great advice. I love that. Your headphones die?
Yeah, they did just right there at the end.
Yeah, I heard that. No worries, man. I'm actually getting blown up on the app right now, so I'm gonna actually go pick up a couple, help some people out.
All right.
Um, but yeah, man, I appreciate your time so much, John. I hope we can do this again.
Thank you, Dave, man. Thanks for inviting me, man. I just love learning about your company. I wish you success, and I hope it expands to Arizona because I would love to add that to my own gig portfolio out here. That would be something I'd love to do out here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually gonna be in Arizona next year in February, so maybe we can link up, get some lunch
I'd love
and
to
talk
do
some
it.
more. I would like
Oh,
to get some
definitely.
some good strategies from you too as well, man.
I mean, I went to school for business, so business is like that's. I grew up with business. So I'll tell you. I'll tell you one last thing. I
Okay.
always tell people my first job. I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and my first job was shoveling
Wow.
driveways when I was 7. Me and my friends, we recognized that well, hey, we had shovels, and we say, hey, what? How much we get people to pay us? We get
Yeah.
$10 a driveway, add walkways for the $5, and people liked kids, so they tipped more. And we figured on Saturdays we would take, of course, we'd have a lot of daylight, but the
Hmm.
daylight we didn't have, we could get
Good old
$100.
Alaska.
And from then it was like, hey, comic books, sports cars. That's how we spent the candy.
Hmm.
Like ever since then, it was like, hey, there's always a way to get your money.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, John. And good luck out there, man. Be safe. And
You
yeah,
just
let's
want
link.
David.
Thank you. Let's link up soon.
I'll definitely look forward to it.
All right, man.
Peace.
Talk to you.